Hi, this is Avara from Scrappy Mania, and today I want to show you how to create this lovely background paper that I created, and then I'm going to show you how to create a nice page using your paper and some of your stamps. So for this for this background, I used Hero Art inks, the Neon collection, and I have all 6 of the collection: pink, orange, yellow, blue, purple, and green, and they're very vibrant. I really love these inks. So I'm going to show you a technique that you can use to create your background paper using these ink pads, and it gives you that nice little effect. In order to create this technique, but before I show you how to create it, I'm going to show you some of the stamps that I used. This stamp is a hot air balloon stamp that I purchased on clearance. And it was because it said "greeting to you," and that's why I believe one of the reasons why they had it on clearance. So I didn't really like that phrase, "greetings to you," and I really wanted to I would have preferred to have an open area where I can stamp any phrase or any sayings on the stamp. What I did is I took a X-Acto knife and I did some stamp surgery, and I took that phrase out, and that created this stamp. So, and then I took one of the phrases from Ali Edwards' Techniques Tuesday saying, and I actually used the one that says "remember this moment." So I took that stamp. What you do is you take, let me show you. You take the stamp, the acrylic stamp, and then you're just gonna go ahead and when you lay it down and you put it on your block, you're going to go ahead and curve it a little bit. Stick it down on your block like so. So when you stamp it, it stamps on an angle, like you can see there. Okay? So that's how I did that, that stamp there. And then I do have another stamp from Hero Arts, the banner, and that's the one I went ahead and stamped there. Then I have a bunch of Bic markers. So I took my Bic markers and I colored each of the banners to coordinate it with the color of my background. And then I just took another stamp, stitching stamp that I have here, and that's what I do. I stamped it here and I stamped it here, and then I backed it on a piece of black cardstock, because when you are using these Hero Arts, they look a lot nicer if you use some black in the colors, and that's why it helps the color pop. It just gives it a nice look to your layout. So let me show you how to create this nice watercolor background. So here I have, what you're going to need is, you're going to need some wax paper. And of course, you're going to need your ink pad. And you can also do this with watercolor or with acrylic paint or anything like that. The technique will be the same. Just put a little bit of acrylic paint. You put some water. So that's why I have a water bottle. I'm going to mist some water on the wax paper, and then I'm going to apply it on my my white cardstock. Okay. And then you're going to need some stamps. So what I'm going to be using is this phrase stamp. And then here's another one that was also on clearance because it has the Christmas hats. I like the birds. I really didn't want the Christmas hats. So what I did is I removed the hats, and now I just have the image of the birds. And then another stamp that I'm going to use is this one that I bought a long time ago that says happiness. So let me show you. Let's go ahead and start, and let me show you how to do this. So I'm going to first start with my lighter color, and I'm going to take some yellow, and I'll apply the yellow on my wax paper. Then I'm going to take some water, and I'm going to spritz my wax paper, and then I'm just going to lay it down. I start with the lighter color, and I'm just placing it around my page. And then I start with the next color, orange, pink, blue, purple, and then green is my last color. And even though you see that it gets very saturated and the colors are very bright, when you dry it, it actually fade a little bit. And then my favorite color of all these are the blue. It really works well and it blends very nicely. So now I'm going to dry it. So this is what I created. It doesn't look much now, but wait until when we start putting the stamping and the photo mats and everything, it's gonna look just right. It does buckle a little bit with the water after you dry it, but if you take an iron, I got this craft iron. It's a travel iron that I use, and it's just the one that I use for crafting, and you can iron it out. But I'm okay with having the texture. I do want to have it a little bit of texture there, and I don't mind it bubbling up like you see here. Now, because I'm going to mat this on a black cardstock, I want to cut it down to 11.5 by, let's see, oh, let me make sure I cut this one down 11. I think this one's actually 11 3/4. Let me make sure. Yes, actually I need to cut 11 3/4 on 11 3/4 by 11 3/4. So I'm just making sure that I trim it down 11 3/4, and because it is buckling and it's wrinkly, you gotta kind of make sure you hold it down to cut it. So here I'm just putting some adhesive. Actually, before I do that, what I want to do is put a black outline on the edges, and that's what I'm doing with my marker here. So I'm done with putting the black edges, and now I'm just mounting it on my page. So I use my ATG gun off camera, and I make sure I had enough glue on all 4 sizes to make sure that it adheres well. So here I'm just kind of auditioning the stamp to see where I want it, and I decided to put the birds on the lower left hand side, and then I'm going to put that phrase right on top. Actually, the happiness goes underneath the birds, but the other phrase stamp is going to go on top, on the right top. Then what I want to do is I want to do the same design that I did on the other page, and I want to put some stitching on just 2 other corners on one side, and then on 2 other corners of the opposite side. So I'm ready to place my mat, and these are, I'm going to place them on landscape side, and it's going to go on the right there. And I'm just making sure I put enough glue to make sure it adheres well on the page. And then I'm going to put a little my little photo corners on each of the corners. And those photo corners were made with the EK Success photo corner punch. And then that strip of paper that you see there was actually from Craig Paper, the Slate Collection. So now I'm going to color in the birds. So I want to kind of color the wings a lot darker. So I'm using a Sharpie. And then I'm using my big markers, and I'm going to color it first with the yellow on the bottom of the body, coloring the tails in. And then I'm using blue. But you'll see in a moment how I blend all the colors together. What I do is I start with the lighter color, then I use a darker color, then I'm putting the orange, and then I go back on the whole piece with my yellow. And notice how it blends when you do that. So you can go with your blue first, then orange, and it looks like it's all, you can see where one color starts and then one ends. But then you go over it with your lighter big marker, and it all blends in. So I'm on the last finishing touches, putting some puffy paint on the photo mats. And here's my first page, as you can see there. And sorry about the glare, but here's my first page. And then this is my second page. Very simple layouts, and look how pretty they're going to look side by side. So it's very simple layout, and I hope I have inspired you to create your own background papers using inks that you already have on hand. And thank you for watching. Bye now.